Hello, everyone. Greg Lefersky here, founder of True North Development. Welcome to our podcast, where we have real conversations with real people about real transformation. We hope that you'll be inspired to take action, to identify your purpose, and walk in it. Enjoy. Would you consider yourself to be self-disciplined? That's the question today. I'm here with my friend Lindsey. Please introduce yourself to our audience, Lindsey.
Thank you for having me, Greg.
Yes.
My name is Lindsey Attaway. I've known Greg for a few years now, maybe 3 or 4. We used to work together, actually, and now we're on different paths, but still have a great friendship. And I'm excited that you've asked me to be here today to talk a little bit about self-discipline. My 8 to 5 is working in marketing, and then in the evenings, I enjoy bodybuilding and spending time with my puppy.
Your puppy, that's right. How's it going with the puppy?
Good. She's
Yes,
good.
she's good.
We're almost fully potty trained, so that's
No way.
yeah,
That's a
big milestone. Yes.
Yeah. So she is what? Tell us about the puppy again.
She is Pomeranian.
Pomeranian. That's
Her name is Mari. It's short for Mariposa, which is butterfly in Spanish.
okay. Cool.
She's
So
an angel.
She's an angel. Does she go? Do you have like a purse for her? Or how does that?
I need to get one. So if anybody has recommendations.
That's a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Yeah. So Lindsey and I connected a few years ago, and I have to bring it up, Lindsey. You know, I met Lindsey in a job interview, and a young woman basically just out of college. This would be your like second or third like real job situations out of college. And when I asked the question, what are you reading right now? I don't think I threw in for self-development, but what are you reading right now? Lindsey said, well, I'm rereading How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I'm like, I think we need to hire this woman right now. So it was just impressive to me that to meet somebody, your age, that was interested in self-development enough to read this book at least twice, right? So thank you for that. It was a real gift to me. And like you said, we worked together a few years. And this topic, self-discipline, for me, when I think of the topic, I think of Lindsey Attaway. And I do want you to tell us your story a little bit. Like, how did you get into bodybuilding? And you would consider yourself to be a self-disciplined person, yes?
I would say no.
You would say no?
I would say no. I think that's a skill that I'm consistently striving toward.
Okay.
It's a never-ending pursuit, but I think that I've made a lot of progress in that area over the past few years.
So you haven't arrived, but you like the term.
Yeah.
You feel like it's a goal, like I want to become a self-disciplined person. Tell us about that. What moved you to want to step into this space where you feel like I want to be better as a self-disciplined person?
Well, let's see. I graduated college COVID year, so 2020. I had moved all of our classes online, and I was stuck in a bedroom, quarantined, and it was just claustrophobic, and felt like I was losing my mind, and I needed an outlet. And so I started doing some kind of like YouTube workout videos. I didn't like the way that I felt mentally. I didn't like the way that I felt physically, and I wanted to change that. And I thought to myself, I can hate what I see or hate the person that I am, or I can take steps to change that. And so I was like, I'm going to start exercising. So I started out with just some YouTube videos, slowly learned more about strength training and the benefits of strength training, and got more into that using some dumbbell and body weight workouts, and eventually got a gym membership after the gyms opened back up and got into that way. I had a desire. I kind of knew the person that I wanted to be and knew kind of the goals I had in mind for myself. But the area I was lacking in was the self-discipline, because if I didn't feel like working out and I was tired, I wasn't going to work out. I was tired. If I wanted to eat 20 cinnamon rolls, I was going to eat 20 cinnamon rolls. So I knew that was the area that I needed the most growth in. And so I kind of thought, how can I get this? It's not about necessarily all the specific workouts that you do. That's important, of course, but it's more so just showing up for yourself. And so I knew that I needed to develop that, and came across a program called 75 Hard. Andy Frisella is the guy that kind of started it. And I decided that I was going to embark on this journey and do this program called 75 Hard to kind of help harness that self-discipline.
You wanted to start showing up for yourself. Can you expand on that idea a little bit? Like, to me, like when I don't feel like working out, I just don't work out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that most people live that way, right?
Yeah.
So how is changing your behavior showing up for yourself?
Oh, I mean, think about the 30 minutes it may take you to do a workout. You can sit on your couch and not do it and, get your 30 minutes back watching Netflix or whatever, or you can make a positive change in your life that's going to continue to impact the rest of your day, the endorphins that you get from a workout, or even just your future self and the way that you feel looking in the mirror. So you're sacrificing 30 minutes of your time for a lot more positives in the future.
So it's the whole delayed gratification idea.
Yes.
So it's worth 30 minutes of a investment now for long-term positive results.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So 75 hard.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together during part of your 75 hard experience. Mm-hmm. So what led you to 75 hard? What is it? How did that go for you? Tell us about that experience.
Yeah. I feel like I had first heard of it a few years ago, and it was something that I had seen, but it seemed quite ambitious for me at the time. I wasn't consistently working out, and basically there's 5 rules of the program. One of the rules is that you have to do 2 45-minute workouts a day, and one of them has to be outdoors. And at that time, I wasn't consistently working out, so it kind of felt like wow, this is so far off from the lifestyle that I live now, and I wouldn't be able to do this for 75 days straight. And the whole idea is that if you break one of the rules, you have to start over from day 1. So it has to be 75 consecutive days. And so I was kind of like, this is a little bit ambitious. I don't know about this. And eventually I got into the routine of working out during COVID and being quarantined. And I was kind of like, you know what? I'm ready for like a new challenge. I'm ready for something else. I want to develop this self-discipline. I'd heard of the program, so I looked into it and I was like, I'm going to do it. So I decided what day I was going to start. I made a whole plan for myself, a meal plan, all the things. And then, day 6 of my first attempt, I failed. And it really came down to a lack of time management. It had gotten to the end of the day. I still hadn't done my outdoor workout. It was like storming outside. I was like, had no more calories left in my meal plan. And so I would have had to not eat dinner. And I was like, I'm just not going to do it. And I gave up. And then the next day I felt awful. And I was like, are you serious? You failed on day 6? I was very disappointed in myself. And I was like, tomorrow I'm starting over and I'm going to do it right this time. Because it's really, I could have said skipped it and gone to day 7. But the whole point is to grow yourself and to harness that self-discipline. So if I did that, I would have been lying to myself and failing myself, which defeats the purpose of doing the program. So I was like, I'm going to start first. I'm going to do it the right way and I'm going to get it done. And so I did.
So there's a couple of things that I just heard in that explanation. Number one was this idea of failure, and I want to come back to that. But did you say it was a lack of time management that led to your failure? So tell me more about how is coming to the end of the day, faced with a thunderstorm? Did you procrastinate? How did that? Okay, tell me about more about that.
Yeah. That's one of the things I love about the program too, is as you're going through it, you realize so many maybe qualities that you lack or areas that you can improve in. And looking at the program initially, you wouldn't think, oh, this is going to help me with time management. But it does, because, you have to drink a gallon of water every day. Well, if you don't drink that throughout the day, then you're chugging a gallon of water before you go to bed. You have to read 10 pages of a self-development book every day. And it's like if you hold all that until the end of the night, then you're in trouble. So you have to really plan out your day well and make sure that you get up when you're supposed to do your first workout and build time for that in the morning before you go about your day. And so that was definitely something that I had to work on a lot as I went through that program.
So you made it?
I made it.
You made it. So you figured out how to fit all this into one day. So what did the day look like for you?
Typically it would start with my outdoor workout. I prefer working out in the gym than working out outside, so I wanted to kind of get that one done with. So a lot of times I would just walk for 45 minutes as my first workout. Sometimes I would do a HIIT workout or do a run. It kind of just depended. But a lot of times I would walk and listen to a podcast while I was walking to kind of start my day in that way. As you know, that when I completed the Live Hard program, that the outdoor workouts became a problem for me. But and then I would go to work. I worked, an 8 to 5 job, so I'd go about my day, drink my water throughout the day, have my meal plan prepped, eat that for lunch, and then I would do my second workout in the gym that evening. Come home and normally read my 10 pages before I went to bed.
So if you sprinkled all of these activities throughout the day, it's attainable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it really hard? 75 hard? Is it really hard?
Some days, yes. I think that you get to a point, I remember it was like day 38 or something. I was like halfway through and I like just really did not feel like working out. Like I just had a bad day. Like I was exhausted. I just didn't want to do it. And I'm like, me skipping one workout is not going to make a substantial difference in my physique or my health. It's not going to make that big of a deal. But it would make a big deal in my mindset because I spent 38 days doing a program and with the goal of getting to 75 days, and then I'm going to fail just because I don't feel like doing something. And I mean, you develop these habits and routines. Like you don't, when you wake up in the morning, like you brush your teeth. Like you don't, that's not something that you think about. Like that's just something that you do. And I had built these habits, you know, into my lifestyle. And it's like, come on, this is just this is just what you do. This is just who you are. Go do your workout and you'll be happy that you did it. If you don't, you're going to feel like you did the first time that you quit on day 6, and even more so because it was day 38. So I wouldn't say it was hard. I would say it was a challenge against yourself.
A challenge specifically to maintain habits, maintain routines that are good for you.
Right.
That allow you to benefit from a delayed standpoint down the line, right? So as you're talking, it's going through my head, you know, Graylin's 16 and he's really proud that he makes his bed every day. And it's just a habit for him now. He's been doing it for a couple of years. You know, I know it might seem strange, but getting a kid to brush his teeth regularly is not that right. But now he's in a place where it's just a habit. We don't have to talk about it. It just happens, right? So habits are things that eventually become routines that you don't even, they're unconscious.
Yeah.
That you don't even have to think about it. And yes, there's probably what might be perceived as sacrifice up front. That really isn't a sacrifice. Because if you sacrifice now, you'll pay for it later.
Right.
There's what Jim Rohn calls the pain of regret. Is it the pain of sacrifice now or the pain of regret later? Which is heavier? Which is heavier, would you say? The pain of regret or the pain of sacrifice?
Pain of regret.
Okay.
And sacrifice, in this circumstance specifically, it's an investment. So you're giving up something now, but you're putting it toward your future self. So it's not just like you're giving it away and you're not going to get anything out of it. You're investing it into your future.
It's interesting. We talked a little bit about this before we went on camera, but discipline is defined as the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. Would you agree with that definition of discipline?
For discipline, yes.
Typically, when you hear that term, you think of a consequence of a negative behavior.
Right.
Yes?
Yes.
Self-discipline is defined here as the ability to control one's feelings and overcome one's weaknesses, the ability to pursue what one thinks is right despite temptation to abandon it. Yes?
Yes.
You would agree with that?
I would agree.
So it's interesting to me that like the definition of discipline almost has a negative connotation, like a consequence, but self-discipline is more of a mindset with positive outcomes or positive consequences. Yes?
Yes.
Awesome. That's super interesting to me. Jim Rohn calls it the sheer force of will to get things done. And like you mentioned before, he talks about it as it's really a confidence builder. It helps me build my positive vision of myself and who I am when I don't procrastinate, when I lean into difficulty, when I make this decision to do the hard thing now. It actually builds my self-esteem. Yes, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
So let's talk about failure. You mentioned that after 6 days and 75 hard, you called it failure. Did you call it failure or did I call it failure? You called it failure.
I think I did, yeah.
Okay, so what is failure in your estimation, in your definition of failure?
Failure is when you do not achieve a goal that you had set out for yourself. I think that failure typically has a negative connotation, but I don't think that's true at all. I think that failure is an opportunity to learn and then make adjustments for the next time you try it. Or to regroup if it's a goal that you're your goals have changed and you decide that this isn't going to work, I don't have this goal in mind anymore, and adapt that way as well.
So it's an opportunity to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that you re-engaged. You could have said, day 6, I'm done. I procrastinated. I just can't do this. I'm not going to do it. What led you to re-engage and start over?
One, the original goal that I had, I would say that.
Original goal.
I failed, so I didn't meet that goal, and I wanted to become more self-disciplined, and so I still had that desire. And 2, the way that I felt when I quit. I was very disappointed in myself, and especially doing it so early on. And I didn't want to feel that regret, the pain of regret. And I wanted to be proud of myself and put in the work that I knew I needed to put in to reach my goal.
So what differentiates someone that yields to failure and says, that's just not me, I can't do it? And I don't know, I guess for me, when I have failed and not gotten back up and not re-engaged, it has had a negative impact on my self-esteem, like how I see myself and how I feel as a result of that. So what's the difference? What drives people to get back up and re-engage and other people that don't?
That's a great question. I think that in some people it's innate. They just have a desire to achieve at a high level. I think everybody's capable of it, but for some it may be a skill they have to work on and develop. For me, I think that it's a little bit of both. I have a desire to be the best version of myself, but I don't always obtain the skills that I need to do that. That's a work in progress. So I don't really know what the difference is, to be honest. I think that if you don't have that fire inside of you, it's something that you have to work to develop.
It's almost a belief, I think. For me, it's like I keep mentioning Jim Rohn, but really almost everything that you read about him, all of his training was really about, hey, we're going to be faced with hundreds of decisions every day. He calls it a crossroads. Let me quote him. Imagine a person standing at the crossroads of a decision. Every day we face these crossroad moments when our choices define us. So like you said, I didn't want to feel the pain of regret. So have you felt the pain of regret?
Yes.
Any examples?
I mean, I think we all make choices in our life that we wish that we hadn't. And I think that with that, we have to give ourselves grace, maybe where we were at the time, or the circumstances that were around us and the pressures that we felt, and also understand that at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to make our own choices despite outside circumstances. And, you learn from that. Anytime that you regret something, you learn from it. I mean, you have an opportunity then to not repeat that mistake in the future. So
you have an opportunity,
right,
not to repeat it,
right,
because you're not guaranteed to make a new choice the next time. You could make the same choice.
Right.
That, for me, now that we're talking about this pain of regret idea, my first career was pretty demanding, and I allowed it to be demanding. Again, there's decisions we make all day long, every day. Do I stay at work for 12 or 14 hours and neglect my family and my wife? Right. At the end of the day, do I make a decision to go out and hang out with my buddies at the bar? Or do I go home? Those are little decisions that we make, right? And I did live the pain of regret for a number of years as a result of that, right? But reliving it now, my life is completely different because I have the understanding that the pain of regret is a consequence of the decision-making process, right?
Right.
All decisions have a consequence, whether it has a negative impact or a positive impact on your life. So again, that's kind of everything Jim Rohn teaches is, hey, every day we're faced with hundreds of decisions. What decisions are we going to make to help us move forward? So I love that. So again, failure, you did not achieve a goal that you set out for yourself, but you see failure as an opportunity to learn.
Right.
Is that what you said? So any examples that you can give us on what that looks like for you, opportunities to learn? You had an incident while working out one morning, right?
Yes. Yes.
Are you willing to share?
Yeah. Let's see. I learned to take a flashlight with me when I'm running. So 75 Hard has a continuation called Live Hard. So you can do the 75 days and then turn it into a year-long program where you basically do it again for 3 30-day blocks, and there's additional rules you have to follow with each phase. So there's different things added into it, like talk to a stranger every day and just different things to help grow yourself. I was on phase 2. I think it was phase 2, and it was like, I don't know, it was like day 7 or 8, and I was doing my outdoor workout, and I went for a run for this one, and it was early in the morning, probably 5. I had to get up with enough time to get that done before work, and I was running outside of my neighborhood, and there was a car coming, so I went off of the road to get out of the way, and the pavement was really messed up, and I stepped just in the right place and basically ended up breaking my ankle. Didn't know this at the time. I just knew that I had hurt it very badly and was like, oh my goodness. Looked at my watch, and I was like, I still got 10 more minutes left. And so I called my mom, and I told her what happened. At this time I was living with my parents, and I said, hey, I'm right outside the neighborhood, and I just hurt my ankle really bad running. And she's like, okay, well, 1 second, your brother will come pick you up. And I'm like, no, because then I fail. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So I just started walking home on it. It hurt so bad. It's really stupid. But I walked home on it, got inside. I was crying because it hurt so bad. I went toward the backyard, my parents' backyard, and my mom's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm going outside. I'm going to do 10 minutes of abs on a yoga mat outside to finish my workout because I had 10 minutes left, and you had to be 45 minutes. And she's like, well, it must not be that bad if you're going to keep working out. And I was like, whatever. Anyway, so did 10 minutes of abs. I called you after, and I was like, around the house to get ready, and still had to shower and do all that stuff. And I got to work a little late, I think, and my ankle was probably the size of a baseball, and ignored it for about a week and continued to do seated workouts for all of my workouts. That was horrible. I was hitting upper body every single day. And then after about a week, it still looked horrible, and I ended up going to the doctor and did x-rays, and it was broken. So
yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, I remember you were still going to the gym. You were still working out the other leg.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Some days my upper body would be too sore. I really had to get creative with my workouts. Today I'm hitting biceps for only 45 minutes. Tomorrow I'm going to do just shoulders for 45 minutes. I had to really break stuff up because I was running out of muscle groups to train without them being sore. And so there would be days on occasion where I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to work out my right leg because my upper body's too sore. So
you continued with the Live Hard program.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
With a broken ankle.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
To be honest, I think that there's a little bit of pride in it, to say not only did I complete this program, but I also did it when I had a broken ankle. I don't know, there's kind of a little bit of extra motivation when there's challenges for me. So when there's something like that where it's beating the odds, most people would give up, but I'm kind of like that. Something like that just makes me more motivated to do it because I'm doing it to a higher degree or higher level. So I felt like it, even though it got challenging on some days, I liked some part of me liked that happened because it was extra challenging.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, it's a great story to tell, right? And again, I watched you through all of that, and any of your friends, any of your coworkers would have said, "Hey, Lindsey, quit, live hard." Nobody would have held that against you, right? Or looked down on you because of that.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, was it the right thing to do?
Mentally wise, yes. I feel like I gained a lot from it. Physically wise, it probably did delay my recovery of my ankle. Made that take a little bit longer.
Because you didn't get treatment right away.
I didn't get treatment right away, and it's some of the exercises I would do on my upper body, you still put a little bit of strain on the muscles down there. So
gotcha.
I didn't necessarily take care of it the way that I should have in recovery, but I don't regret it. So and it's healed now. So we're
and it is healed. Yeah, and you've been back to your regular gym routine and all of that for a while because that was a couple of years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
21.
So let's wrap up the failure idea. I want to get back to that, and because again, there was an opportunity for failure there. You could have let an injury keep you from pressing forward, and you chose not to because you didn't want to live with the pain of regret. Is that fair to say? or it was more of a confidence thing for you, or what drove you to press through that then if it wasn't the fear of regret?
I think I just had a sense of pride. Like, I am doing this for myself. I'm doing this to serve a greater purpose, and I'm not going to let anything get in my way. So if I break a bone or something happens, it's not going to, before I started, I had in mind I was going to complete this. It wasn't an option for me. It was a choice that I made, is I'm going to make it happen no matter what. And with everything that's within my control. And so it was in my control. I made a choice to keep doing it, and that's what self-discipline is about. I mean, you're making a choice to do it or not do it, despite what other stuff is going on around you.
And failure to you is an opportunity to learn. Is that normal? Is that common? Is that a common mindset about failure?
I would say no.
Okay. What has your experience been on how people see failure?
I think my perception is that most people see failure as a negative thing. But I think that failure is just a part of life. And I think that the more comfortable we are with failure, the more that we're capable of, the more that we can achieve. And you think about some of the greatest entrepreneurs or successful people in the world, think about if they had given up after their first try. What's Thomas Edison or whatever, the light bulb, or electricity, I don't know. Like those kind of things. Like most of the time you're not going to get something right on the first try. And if you are, you're pretty dang lucky. So I think that failure should be seen more as a positive because it means that you're trying.
The more comfortable with failure we are, the more capable we are. Is that what you said? I love that. Yeah, I heard the Thomas Edison reference, I think, this morning. I think it was 1,000 tries or something like that before the light bulb. Like that's pretty tenacious.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the story of most highly successful people,
right?
Is how they overcome difficulty and they lean into failure as just an opportunity to learn. So I love that. So let's say in our audience we have people that aren't disciplined at all, self-disciplined at all, and they want to get started with something. Or maybe they're highly disciplined and they want to up the game. They want to finish their Live Hard workout with a broken ankle. What kind of advice or resources do you have to share with the audience?
I think that the more you fill your mind with self-discipline and those kind of topics, the better off you are. For me, I listened to a lot of podcasts, and that kind of helped frame my mind and be thinking of that. Andy Frisella, his resources are great. He's the one that started the program. Bedrose Koulian, he's another one I like. James Clear, Atomic Habits, that's a great book, especially if maybe issues like time management or something that you're working on. That's a great one for building that. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, I think is who wrote that. That was one that I read that was great. So any kind of podcast, book, literature, the people around you, the conversations that you're having that are more centered around self-development conversations, the more that's going to be ingrained into your subconscious, and it's going to be easier to do those things. But if I were to give one piece of advice, I would say take one step. It's really just about the initial getting started. Like if you just take one step, that's the hardest part. It's just getting started. Put your workout clothes on. Once you put your workout clothes on, you're highly more likely to do your workout. Start small, and it will build.
I think that was one of the other things that I've heard from Jim Rohn over and over again is, like, if I prepare for my workout the night before, I lay out my clothes, I set my alarm, I already have my workout planned, I'm more likely to do it.
Yeah.
Than if I wake up and go, I don't want to do it because I have to find my clothes, because I'm not sure what my workout's going to be, because I'm just tired and I want to sleep in and hit snooze, right? Then there's more opportunity to shy away from that new activity than if I planned for it. So just take some kind of a step and then take another step and then take another step, right? I think James Clear calls it habit building.
Habit stacking?
Habit stacking.
Maybe habit stacking, yes.
Same
but
idea.
The idea,
Just establish one simple habit, and then you stack another one on top of that. It's like making your bed and brushing your teeth and taking a shower in the morning, right?
Yeah.
You start by learning how to make your bed, and then you add brushing your teeth, and then maybe take a shower. And then it's just routine, and you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
So I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. We'll share some of these resources with our audience, but self-discipline doesn't have to be something that's overwhelming, right? It's really a decision to do what? To commit to self-improvement, to have the impact that we could have in the world, to be what some call the best version of ourselves, what we at True North call to live in your potential.
Right.
We just have to take one baby step at a time until it becomes a habit, and then add another habit, and then add another and another. So I love it.
Absolutely.
Yes, anything to add before we say goodbye to the audience?
I think the only thing I would add to that is, I know you've talked about it before, but know your why. That's a big part of it too.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Is the times when it seems daunting or you don't want to do it, remember why you're doing it. And if you remember that, then it's like, okay, I'm doing this to serve a greater purpose. I'm doing this because I want to look in the mirror and feel confident, feel happy. I'm doing this because I want to be able to serve people around me. I'm doing this because my children or my family are counting on my health. You know, when you have that mindset, it's like, okay, if this is the greater purpose, I can do a 30-minute workout. So know your why.
Know your why. I love it, Lindsey. Always good to hang out with you. Thank you so much, especially talking about personal development. I know you're passionate about it, so am I. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to learn more about what it means to discover and walk in your full potential, click the link below or go to truenorthdevelopment.com.